Haven't been online in a little while in live chatting, and just it's a really cold, rainy day, and so we do not have a whole lot of outside stuff we can do. So we decided we'd sit down and do sort of a update chat.
Yay!
Sister Kate, Pastor Joe.
I'm gonna be doing, for those who watch, following Yeshua, and they just changed their channel name.
Yeah, FBIC, I think, something Brothers in Christ.
I'm gonna be doing the Sister T role. I'll be reading your comments and helping Sister Kate out. People are showing up. I don't know who.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas Prepper.
Hey!
Hey, brother, hey.
All right, let me find this.
Shelly, Linda, Matthew.
I'll get there.
Shalom, shalom, everybody.
This is how we get on the internet.
Yeah, we use our phones. Shalom, chasing life. Always good to see you. Hey, Wes S. You've been
Man,
putting
everybody's
up,
there.
Yeah, Wes S. You've been putting up some really good videos lately, brother. I don't always agree with what you eat, but you definitely have survival skills and knowledge. So, if you don't follow his channel, you should go check some of that out. Hey, Deborah, how is
you know
the
what?
day?
I'm gonna use my other phone.
I'll be mailing your seed soon. Oh, thank you very much. The day has been productive for us. We needed to get some stuff to do some stuff. We're, mid-project with hooking up our big
Chimney.
chimney for the Pioneer Princess stove, which I'm looking forward to so much. Dirt Patch Heaven has been doing some videos of her little stove where she's canning stuff on it. I cannot wait. I can't wait to have hot water going, be able to bake things like cake and biscuits and stuff like that. Can stuff, keep stuff warm. My Wi-Fi is really bad still without power. I'm sorry to hear that, Teresa. Ours is all, the weather can affect it. We rely heavily on our phones.
Oh, there we are.
Just got done with weekend 2 of being on Wood Badge staff again. Glad to be back home. Yeah, I saw some of your posts, Northwest Arkansas Prepper. We're seeing some of the same beautiful fall foliage and greenery. It's just amazing outside right now. If you haven't been outside in your area, you should go take a walk or something. I also have an Instagram now. Sister Kate Show for Mountain. Pretty sure that's what I called it. I'm kind of on there just to see what's going on there, but I do post a few pictures, and I'm kind of new to it, so I don't have a lot up yet. Mark Goldberg, new subscriber. All right, thank you. I ate beef stew and cornbread this time. Yay! And thank you, Sister Kate, and shalom, Pastor.
All right, I can read now. I got Wes S. I ate beef stew. Down to, I noticed the Instagram, very nice. Wherever Matthew Goza is, it's 93 degrees.
93. Where are you, Matthew Goza? Costa Rica, for goodness sake.
Teresa Jukowitz, Bad Storm of West Tennessee.
Hey.
Palmetto Paratrooper.
Hey, shalom, brother.
Harriet Villanueva.
Where Harriet is, what are your temps, Harriet? 100? She's out there in Qatar or Dubai or
Qatar?
something. Yeah. Saturday. Okay. There were really bad storms around us here, and not so much our area, but immediately north of us, there was some pretty bad damage.
Matthew Goza is in deep South Texas.
Oh, all right. There you go. Looking to come out. Sheepdog Patriot.
So what are we going to talk about today? You want to talk about our day or what? What's the plan, Stan?
Yeah, we were going to talk about our day, I thought. And winter is coming. We are about to have a really hard freeze soon.
Yes! 3 or 4 days in a row of sub-freezing temperatures at night will kill all the chicks and tiggers.
Yeah, it'll kill
Ticks
all
and
the
chiggers.
bugs. It's also going to probably take care of, what's a nice way to say, kill all the warm weather plants in the garden, like the tomatoes and the cucumbers.
So, what did we do this morning?
What did we
I
do
got
this
up
morning?
about 5 and did this. And
Oh, we helped a sister out. In that bad storm, the skirting panels under her trailer, some of them had come loose, and she asked for some help. So we went over there with our tools.
yeah, because it's fixing to get cold.
Really cold.
And screening a trailer or camper, here it's right here, is a really good thing to do. It keeps it a lot warmer. Speaking of which, I need to screen our kitchen, which is up on pylons, piers.
Okay, so Rhonda Micro Farmer said, do you plant a winter garden?
Wait, we're talking about. I got this. Right now, we're talking about our day. Then we'll come to this.
Wait a minute.
We're not going to jump all over the
Who's
place.
in charge of this live stream anyway?
It's your live stream. If you want to jump all over, I'm just going to shut up. We got a direction we were going, and you just like went over here.
Well, what direction were you in?
We were talking about what we did with our sister today.
Oh, that's right. That's true. I jumped ship a little too soon. Go ahead.
So you got to skirt trailers if you're living in a trailer or a camper, or in our case, our kitchen is above grade on piers, and it makes a big difference for winter. And she didn't know how to use
A drill.
a
And
drill.
driver.
And so we gave her a class on how to use a driver, which those of you who use drivers are like, what did you tell her? We showed her how to
Took
use
her
it.
5 minutes.
Made her comfortable with it, had her drive a screw or two. And then she wanted help from you.
Oh yeah, she was not familiar with hooking up a propane heater.
What are you drinking in that tea there?
Yeah,
You need some of this stuff.
Mint and sage right here.
This
Yes,
is
sir.
talking fluid.
This is winter tea right here. Cheers, big ears.
So we helped her do that. And then we went to Lowe's.
Right, we did the shopping. We needed,
Saw blades.
Yeah, technical stuff. Saw blades, and there was one other thing we got there. What did we get? Saw blades was the main thing. We got
Wear a helmet. Sometimes they throw these.
couple
Go
things.
easy, PJ. Our brains are wired differently, and jumping around from. John Springer, I know. Women are like spaghetti. Men are like waffles.
Right.
Men like things in nice, tidy little boxes, and that's why we can lock boxes, put bands around them and a chain, and throw it back there and never think about it. And we like to talk about this when we're talking about this. This is a good psychology thing here. And women are like a plate of noodles, and you just got to kind of follow the noodles.
That's
and
right.
it is your channel, so
And
let's
the noodles.
noodle on, my sister.
Although you were right, we were talking about Sister Melissa. So Palmetto just said a thing. After he used the buddy heater here for Sukkot last year, he went out and bought one.
Oh, those are good. And did you say that's what you hooked up?
Yeah, we hooked up one of the bigger ones. She had one that would hook to a 20-pound tank, and
Ours will hook up to 20 pounds too.
yeah,
They
but
will.
that big thing though, if she put
Yeah.
a little one on there, it'd
Oh,
be
yeah, it'd be
over in
gone.
like an hour.
Yeah, hers was twice as big
Hers
as ours.
was twice as big. But she had a really nice, I don't know if it came with it or if her husband bought her, the fixture. Really nice, just screw onto the tank, turn the propane on, light the heater. The good thing about the little buddy heaters is in leaky trailers like ours, you can have that thing running. Like we didn't want to run it 24/7, and we've said this in videos before because
Hi, Melissa.
propane, hey, Sister Melissa, talking about you right now. Propane heat is a wet heat. And so if all you do is run that propane and you keep your trailer really warm, what happens is you create that little like subtropical microclimate inside, and you get a lot of problems
address
with
this?
mold and moisture. Absolutely.
So for a while, when we started Shofar Mountain as an intentional community, we had 4 families living in trailers in what we now call the village. And the one family had a baby. And it was cold. We moved here in the wintertime, much like the Pilgrims. And she kept her propane little buddy heaters going 24/7 in her trailer. And we didn't. We would turn ours on in the morning to get dressed, and then turn it off, get out of the trailer, work all day. And while we were out during the day, even if it was like 20 degrees out that day, we would open all the windows in our trailer. And then at night, we'd come back, because the trailer's not going to stay warm all day anyway.
No, if you're heating it, you're just kind of wasting all your propane. At
And
least
then at
that
night, we would come back, close up the trailer, fire up that heater to get undressed into our PJs, get into bed, and then we'd turn it off. And so we only ran it like twice a day, because once you're under the blankets, it's warm. Well, this trailer that kept it going all day, every day, and I'm not saying they were wrong, they had a baby in there. They got black mold all through their trailer.
Was the baby born on Shofar Mountain? No, she had the baby and then came to Shofar.
Which, very brave.
There was a baby born here.
Yeah.
our grandchild was born here with totally planned and had a midwife in attendance and state inspection and all the things that were required. But our grandson was born here. So anyway, we helped out Sister Melissa. We went and got some things we needed for the project to hook up the Pioneer Princess
Stove.
and then when we got back, we had all our chores we had to do. Because wintertime chores for off-grid people are still, they're still around. They're different from your summertime chores, like bringing in dry kindling, which we did in the last 2 days in between the rain, and bringing in loads of firewood.
We brought in like a couple double loads of firewood. It's going down to, I don't know, I can't check and watch your comments at the same time, but it's going down below freezing tonight.
Right, it's below freezing.
So, and it's raining, and I'm not going to want to go out there tomorrow morning first thing and get wood in the rain. And it's raining pretty hard. It's actually raining harder than I thought it would.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did when we got back, I washed dishes because I needed to do that. Pastor brought in more water for the kitchen, which is in abundance right now.
I shot a video for tomorrow for Patreon.
Right.
Answered emails from people. I've got to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I went up and locked up our birds because they have. I've sort of half trained them that when I go up there in the middle of the afternoon, they're ready. So I throw a thing of feed and they all run inside. And I locked them up. I milked my goat, and that was not easy because we have our billy goat down here now. I didn't want them to breed earlier in the season because I don't want the kids born like in the middle of winter. So he's here and trying to jockey him, our baby female, and then the actual milking nanny was quite a task. Got her on there, got her milking, and as soon as I was done, this rain started. So I had to quick put those goats back away and then bring the milk in, and you have to filter the goat milk and then get that in the fridge.
So Matthew Goza, no, when you have a wood stove, it's dry heat.
It's a dry heat.
Matter of fact, go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
That was a very good question to ask because dry heat, we bring in like the wet clothes I was wearing. I think I've got leggings right here. Well, they're out of the camera, but they're close to it, so they will dry. It will dry your clothes, and it'll.
And actually, a wood stove can dry your house too much, which is why a lot of people with wood stoves will keep a little kettle going on the wood stove. We keep a kettle going on our wood stove anyway, just to make coffee and tea and hot warming beverages and stuff.
And they make a difference. That's why I'm having this cup of tea right now. This is a herbal tea. It's mint and sage together with some honey.
Mark took goats to school today
to demo milking for our ag science class. Awesome. We actually ran into a neighbor today too.
Oh, can I start that story?
Absolutely.
So we went to Lowe's because I needed. When we moved things around in this house to work on the kitchen and start putting up this paneling you see behind us, we had to rob Peter to pay Paul. We don't have a lot of room to move stuff, and a lot of my tools are buried, and I couldn't find my cement cutting blade. I couldn't find any of my cutting blades, and for my circular saw, and we need to cut some hardy panel to go underneath our stove. So I went to Lowe's, and then Sister Kate said you wanted to go
to Walmart.
Why?
Because there's a certain yogurt, it's called Noosa, that I think is delicious, and I have it almost every morning for breakfast.
And they don't sell it at our local grocery store. We've talked to the manager and said the reason we go to Walmart is to get Noosa. We like it that much. And then we pick up other things, so why don't you stock it? Whatever. But anyway, we ran into a neighbor of ours, and man, we talked to him for like 45 minutes, don't you think?
No, it's probably more like 15, but it feels like 45
I think it's
when you're
about
in a Walmart.
45. Can we settle on 30?
20.
I'll give you
People
35.
22.
I'm a negative bargainer. We'll go to 45.
There were a lot of people walking
About
by,
an hour.
and you always feel very awkward because you're standing there with the cart to cart, and people want to get what's behind you and so on. He was a really interesting source of information. I would love to do a interview with him quickly because he's the kind of American that I really admire. He knows his stuff and he doesn't back down. Like when the water company tried to intimidate him, boy, he came right back at him. And when people trespass on his property, he just gets furious because he knows how life used to be and he likes it. Anyway, he he told us all the different things he likes to do. And at some time they had a milk cow, and they milked the cow, and he
made
said
mozzarella cheese and
mozzarella sticks from his own mozzarella, and he made butter, and he made cheese. And I thought, wow, that's a good skill to have.
And he had a good statement that he said he told his grandkids.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get something.
Kids. And that was, you should try everything. Meaning, he was talking about things like raising bees, raising a cow. He is making his own sawmill. And he goes, try things, learn how to do them. And then if you decide you don't like doing it, you still have it in the back of your, as I would say, in your rucksack, your skills that you have packed away in your rucksack. And he goes, and then you'll also know when someone is, he used stronger words, but when someone's pulling your leg, telling you a big story about something, you'll know if they're full of dookie or not because you've actually done it before.
I made cheese once, okay, I kept the milk too long. Ha ha, Wes, that's basically what some of the cheeses are. Anyway, I wanted to show you this. I'm sure you can see it. This is basil right here.
I was going to say, that's not mold?
No, but this is the feta cheese. I've got almost a pound of feta cheese in a salt brine. You can see it, the chunks right there. And I'm making that from my goat's milk. And I'm only milking one goat once a day. So I'm getting maybe a cup of milk, maybe 2 cups at a time.
Can we say a cup and a half?
Yeah, a cup and a half, and it fills this up in 3 to 4 days. Well, he and I are not drinking that much goat milk. I do drink it, and I like it. But I wound up having a half.
Myself.
There you go. I had a half-gallon jar full of milk, and it was starting, over time it gets very goaty. So I decided to go ahead and whip up some feta. And Fiasco Farm is got a web page that has the directions that I follow. It's really simple. So that's a wintertime thing to do as well. Process your milk.
So we were driving recently through National Forest, and they have some cabins that you can rent. And we decided, NWA Prepper, we took the back way to your town, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
We came into your town like on the backside. And
Gorgeous.
anyway, we saw these cabins, and it's like, man, we both said, wow, wouldn't it be fun like to rent a cabin and come stay in it? And then we're like, here, let me just turn this.
We already live in one.
We live in a cabin in the woods.
No reason to spend that
No reason.
$110.
It probably is $100 and something a night.
A night. Even though they're...
I'm gonna do something with the lighting here.
That's fine. Even though their places were very pretty, and you would have seen, out your front door a gorgeous forest. That we already have that, so we don't need to do that. Can you tell me some of the comments? You're like, I'll be your comment guy, and you're wandering all over.
Wes says, milking my goat is more spectator sport than a chore. Make better selling tuckets. Norman Holland, goat's milk is the best. Sheepdog, PJ's cracking me up. I just did something to the phone.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, fresh feta. You'll have to post the recipe, said Evelyn Vincent.
Evelyn, Fiasco Farm. Fiasco. Fiasco Farm is where I got the recipe. It's basically... with the milk, you treat it with a raw yogurt or an unflavored yogurt. And you just put that in the fridge for a day, and then the next day you take it out and you warm it up to 80 degrees, and then you put in some rennet. And rennet is one of those things that...
She probably knows.
Yeah, in the good old days, it's the stomach lining of whatever animal.
Calf.
So it would be, for goats, it would be a goat kid stomach lining. But you can buy it, and it can be herbal and organic and all that stuff. So you just put some rennet in there, let it sit overnight. It separates the curds and whey. And then basically you drain all the whey off, salt the curds, cut them.
How far do you drain it?
What do you mean, how far do you drain it?
All the way!
I'm not sure I caught that reference.
You drain all the way off.
You drain, oh, I get it. That was a good pun. All the way. You salt the curds, and then you make a brine with some of the whey, and you put the curds back in it. Something you may not know is if you get raw milk, wow, that's really bright. That's too bright.
It's like being in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's more Hollywood than I want. After you've use the way to make your brine, whatever's left, you can process more. I think you put vinegar in it and then heat it up, and it forms more whey or more
No
curds.
way.
Yes, whey. It's still pretty bright. It forms more curds, and that's ricotta. You just spoon that out, and that's ricotta cheese. So,
Oh, that is bright.
I told you it's bright.
How do those movie stars do this?
They can't see.
They're highly trained.
They burn their retinas. Good evening. Yeah, you're still not reading this. Give me this.
Well, I'm trying to.
I like to be
I'm
responsible.
trying to be the gaffer too.
My first attempt at alcohol became vinegar, and I cleaned with it. Laugh out loud. Hey, that's.
Hey, that works, right? If I can do it that way.
Sure.
I'll just be like Lady Liberty.
Well, can you point it up from or have it on the chair? The thing about making your own alcohol is if you do it wrong or if you let it sit around, it will make vinegar, and then you've got a whole nother very productive thing to work with. As a matter of fact, the last juice, grape juice that I had that turned into wine, I just let it sit out to hopefully make vinegar, although it ended up molding, so that was bad. Sorry. Oh, Okie Storm Chaser, haha, pastors got jokes. Cracking jokes left and right, they love it.
All right, I'll be your secretary.
Okay.
Gotta put my secretary glasses back on.
So, what other winter kind of things? The wood stove is a big deal. The ashes, that's another thing. If you have a wood stove, a lot of people will throw the ashes out, but the ashes are good for putting on your garden. You can also dig a pit and put the ashes in there and use it like cold storage. You can bury things like your root vegetables in a hole with
Can I talk
ashes
to
in it.
Evelyn?
Absolutely.
So Evelyn was talking about lighting and how they do it in Hollywood. Actually, we've been on a few different professionally filmed things. I was on Sean McAuliffe's Stairway to Heaven.
About that.
From Australia. Their like version of PBS came here, and
Did a documentary.
I was in a cameo part on Doomsday Preppers, and then they did a thing called The Sign.
The Sign.
About stuff. And anyway, film crew was here for a few days on that. And you know what they use when they're not in their studios? They go to Lowe's and they buy those big sheets of styrofoam. And then they hold the styrofoam up and they shoot the lights off of that, and it works.
Interesting.
So we use the ashes of our garden throughout the year. The earthworms love it. We said, well, did you just talk about ashes?
Yes, I just said that. Yeah, it's potash, I think, is what it technically is.
I don't think so.
Well, isn't it one of the three things that is in a fertilizer? Potash,
potassium. Oh, potash is in. Yeah, it's also in explosives, but I don't think that's what that is.
Oh, I thought that's what that was. It is good for it though, and it helps keep bugs down. But it'll get washed away by the rain. So in the summer, do you make butter out of goat's milk? I have made butter out of goat's milk, and it tasted really good. If you want to do that on a regular basis, you want to look for the variety of goat that has the highest milk fat. And I want to say it's Nubian, but just do a quick Google check. This little pygmy goat I have has some fat in her milk, and if you want to make butter, you just kind of spoon it off the top, and I keep it in the freezer in a jar until I have enough, and then you just shake it until it turns into butter. Drain the water off, kind of rinse it real good, and the water coming off of it is buttermilk, so you can use that to make your biscuits or whatever.
E.E. Healy's here from the inside the Adirondack Blue Line.
Hey, E.E. Healy, shalom. Thank you for following me on Instagram. I cannot drink very much of the mead without starting to lean. Mead is too sweet for me, and the recipe for that wine that I make is pretty sweet, but to me, mead is just too sweet. Nigerian, Rhonda Micropharmacist is right. Nigerians have the highest fat content, and ours are some kind of pygmy Nigerian things, whatever. I have not been scraping the fat off lately, but I could. Wish I was up in the Adirondacks right now. Okay.
Mr. Healy, what's the lows going to be tonight in the Adirondacks? We're going down into the high 20s, I think.
What other winter things do you need to take care of?
Wood, we talked about that before. Got all the wood put up.
You do clean your garden out. If you've planted a winter garden, you're not planting that thing now, not in late October.
Hi, Vicky.
Hey Vicky, you are planting your winter garden at like mid-July or something, so things are coming ripe now. And some of the stuff that grew, because we didn't plant a garden this year, some of the stuff that grew that I just harvested was butternut squash. That thing just came up on its own. As a matter of fact, let me show you one of them too, because I was pretty happy with them. They grew over by the goat pen.
Oh yeah, all on its own.
I have no idea. I mean, it might have been something I tried to feed them or whatever. I did not put the seed, but that's a pretty good sized butternut squash if you look at it. Look at her hand, right? It's 6-8 inches long, and it gave like 6 of them. I've already handed out 2 of them to other people, but I was pretty excited by that.
Healy said 48 degrees. That's your low?
Crazy Canuck -9
Celsius.
Celsius.
What is that in Fahrenheit?
What is that?
You Canucks are crazy.
Yeah, it's still probably really cold.
Well, it's below 32.
Butternut squash. Butternut squash is excellent prepper food, no refrigeration, and it will store for months. Exactly. The hard squashes like pumpkin and butternut and Hubbard are meant to be something that you can have over the winter.
And we're doing pumpkin next year.
Yeah, and I've bought a pumpkin. I buy a pumpkin every year because I make fresh. Oh, thank you, Ed. Makes good soup. I make fresh pumpkin pie because if you buy it canned in the store, somebody canned pumpkin so that you could have canned pumpkin to put in your pie. So just make it yourself. Get you a pumpkin, bake it, scrape it, put it in there. It tastes so much better. It's so
Norman
good.
Holland's in Scotland. Scotland forever.
Oh, that's right.
And it's -3, so that's probably like 27. That's what it's going down to tonight.
Norman, you say that every time, and every time I'm excited because I was in Scotland.
Edinburgh.
I was in the Edinburgh area, was doing school in England, and Mom came over for spring break, and we ended up way up, I think it's north, Dundee. I looked it up recently. It sounds like Dundee. We stayed in a little inn that looks like it's still open, and oh my gosh, it was so cold. Shalom from Australia. Who is...
Somebody from Oz said hello.
Yes, who in the world?
Sundancer.
Sundancer.
What part of Oz? I've been to Oz. I like Oz.
I remember that too, Sundancer. You've said that before. He's been to Australia. And
You got your appendix out when I was on a ship off the south coast of Australia.
I thought pumpkins were wasting as decorations. Wes S., 1 year when we were living in suburbia, this big house had 14 plus pumpkins out in their trash pile. And 14 of them were not smashed or broken or rotten, and I took them all home. A lot of people think of them only as decoration, and when they're throwing them away, that's free food for you. I know you know that.
Wasn't there a band called Smashing Pumpkins?
Smashing Pumpkins. We have stored butternut and spaghetti squash for a year in a wicker basket in a cool room. Outlander reference recently. Have you read the books? I have read some of the books. I did not read the whole series. I didn't even know she was going to do more of them. But I found it an interesting literary device, and she had interesting characters and so on. So yes, I've read them. Halloween pumpkins are great fun on the range. Well, yes, they would be. We got snow yesterday. Yeah, some. I saw somebody on Instagram. I can't remember his name right now. Showing snow in Nebraska like yesterday. 13 this morning on the Navajo Res. Wow, isn't the Navajo Reservation is
See you,
down
Matt.
New Mexico or something, right?
I don't know where the Navajo res is. I've never been on one. I've been on some Apache reses. I've been on some
We've been on
Dakota reses.
up north. We were what is the tribe?
I did an operation one time on the Chiricahua Apache reservation, and only like 3 people on that reservation knew we were there. The chief and like 2 elders or
But
something.
who was having the salmon up in the northwest?
Nisqually.
Nisqually. We've been on Nisqually
We haven't been on the reservation.
Not the reservation, but in the area.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the Tahlequah Cherokee Living Village.
History museum thing. That was cool.
That was really neat. And a girl today who was checking me out at the store had a tattoo right here. It looked like a C, a W, and a Y. And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "It means Cherokee." And I remember.
Oh, in the Cherokee language?
Yes, because they have their own language, their own letters and everything. I thought that was pretty cool, too. Squash pumpkins make great goat and poultry food. They do.
10 yards.
I saw videos online where they were feeding pumpkins to zoo animals. Things like
elephants
and little bears, and they even fed them to goats. Yeah. On grand solar minimum, TJ from Bear Independent has mentioned it.
I think it's a bunch of crap. These people who get all concerned about climate change and solar winter, grand solar minimum, global warming, whatever. I mean, you can't do anything about it one way or another. Most of the time, they are wrong about what they're saying, and I just don't care. I can't really get excited about it, so that's what I think about grand solar minimum.
That's right, Lynch Schley. She's been on my live streams before. She's down in that area too, and you're a native, right, Lynch Schley? You're a native. Wow, native Scots are the new Indians.
Scotland forever. Man, so Norman, I was watching a video today. I think it's called Bushwhacker Man, and I'm pretty sure he's a Brit, but he has a Land Rover, and he goes driving around doing bushcrafting things. And I think he was up in Scotland, and he went to an off-grid cabin of a friend of his, and I think the friend's living with his dad, and they're doing this off-grid thing. It was really cool. But man, and he had a lot of military surplus stuff, like military camo nets and boxes and things. And it was a cool setup, and it looked really neat. And then they lingered on the pellet rifles with scopes on them hanging on the wall, and the black powder Navy revolver pistol. And I was just like, oh. If anybody would appreciate like an FNFAL or an AR-15 or something, it would be these guys. Or heck, even pump shotguns. I feel for you guys. Anyway.
Somebody said, okay, Storm Chaser said something about the reservations.
Well, I'm glad you have real guns.
I'm worried that the grand solar minimum rate will ruin global warming and make all the money spent on chemical spraying the atmosphere a waste.
I'm with you, Wes. That's a really good way to put it. You should do a video on that.
Oh my
if you did a video like that and put words like that in the title, you'd get 1 million hits on it.
There you go. After 75 years, I've seen many climate changes.
Oh, yeah.
That's why there's a phrase out there. It's called climate sane.
Way to go, Norm.
Right? Climate sane, not climate change. If you can have droughts, and you can have mini ice ages and all the extremes in weather that the scientists tell us have happened in the past without human intervention and automobiles and cigarette smoking and sprays and everything else, then when the climate changes, it's just the climate changing. Is it Richard Wells? Mm-hmm. Hey, Richard. It's not anything caused by human intervention. And that's exactly what Ed Healy is saying, and us too. We haven't lived 75 years, but we've lived...
Not yet.
Close to 60.
I'm aiming for 120.
Me too. But we've seen climate change too. Okay? We've seen snows. Okay.
That weakens your statement.
We've seen climate change. We've seen snows 3 feet deep in Northern Virginia, and we've also seen
asymmetrical preparedness. Howdy.
2 degrees here where we are right now when it's supposed to be warm all the time. So the climate changes. Live with it. There's no reason to spend all this
and climate
money
change. I mean, heck, Norman Holland up in Scotland. I think at one time Scotland was under a glacier, right, during the Ice Age, and it makes people
all
move.
All of Northern Europe. They find.
And then it warmed, and there were no combustion engines, and it warmed, and the ice went away, and that was considered a good thing, I think.
They could find no human, whatever you call it, like in the year 20,000 BC. Like not a lot of tribes hanging out in Northern Europe. They were all farther south, and then moved back up. Asymmetrical preparedness. Welcome.
So I want to address
sure
tuba. Hey, do you know I got the Foxfire books when they first came out for Christmas, and they came out. The first 3 came out in the set, and we have like 7 or 9 of them
Yeah, we have a lot.
in our library. Great idea. I saw a book today. Was it yesterday when we went to the museum that somebody basically copied the Foxfire
Ooh.
thing and did one
Ooh.
on the Ozarks.
That's still a good idea, though.
But it was just like Foxfire.
Right, you go talk to the
And it
people
was only one book.
who've lived there their whole lives and learned the little secrets and ways of doing things. And that's why the Foxfire books were so good, because it was in the Appalachian and people who'd lived there their whole lives and how they did things. And one of them we used in the very first time he got a deer during hunting season. He brought this deer back, and we'd never butchered anything like that before, and we're like, I don't know what we're doing. So we opened up a Foxfire, and they didn't have venison butchering, but they had pig butchering, and so we just followed the
We
instructions
used 2
for
books.
that.
We used the instructions for butchering a hog, and we had a Ragnar Benson book, Survival Poaching, where
That's
he
right.
talked through butchering a deer, and that's how we butchered our first deer.
Yep. My place is in the Scottish Ozarks.
Awesome. Maybe we'll have to go there and visit Norman. We're going to Germany and Austria first, though.
Right. If we go to Europe, we're gonna have to visit everybody. I don't think we can just pick one country. We're gonna have to get a Euro pass or something and travel all over. I heard one major volcanic eruption releases more CO2 than all humans ever have. Certainly possible. And here's the other thing: trees
Well,
are
that opens
emitting
itself up for a
oxygen.
joke, but I'll keep it real.
Oxygen and carbon dioxide exchanging all the time. The trees are doing that all the time. So, whatever. Are cows emitting more, methane gas than, say, mastodons did? Get out of here.
Asymmetrical preparedness, where are you?
Y'all are welcome to visit our res anytime. Lynch Slay said she's Cherokee Choctaw and her husband is Navajo. So I have a question specifically for you. Are your belief systems compatible, or do you have to choose one or the other? Because from reading books, I know a little bit about the Navajo and the sand paintings and so on. And our visit over to the Cherokee Reservation, I don't remember them talking that much about their beliefs.
Asymmetrical preparedness, what part of Washington State are you in?
Hey, Mike Ryan.
We lived there twice.
I cannot type with my thumbs.
Me neither.
Yours are welcome to stay with us in Scotland. Whoa, how's your beer in the area? You got any local pubs making their own beer? Because I like warm, smooth
forget beer. If we're going to Scotland, woman,
What do you
we're
say?
having scotch.
He can have the scotch. I'm not
Whiskey.
a scotch drinker. More whiskey. Do you have a
My
whiskey?
God, what's the local scotch distillery?
That's what I was going to
wanna
say.
know.
Could we go to a tour to the local distillery? And I'd love to see some of those Scottish Highland cattle too, in their native.
Okay, so asymmetrical preparedness. If you have not yet, and you probably have, you need to join the Puget Sound Preparedness Network.
Oh, there you go.
By our brother Tim, who's setting that up. They're doing a lot of good things up there.
Oh, yes, they are. And you can help too.
He might already be in it, for all I know.
You know the Shelton area.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived in Spanaway. We owned a house in Spanaway, and we lived in Yelm. And of course, I worked on Fort Lewis,
That's
which
right.
is now Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Totally, we don't follow the traditions of our fathers, just Torah. Oh, wait a minute. Just Torah and New Testament. Cherokee won't talk about the old traditions unless you're legit and can trace your family tree back. I see. Well, and I'm sure you know, Lynn, that there are some similarities between Native beliefs and Torah.
Hi, Cindy.
Words that are similar. Hello, Cindy. There was a separation time for women during their time of the month. There is, a day of rest and so on. And I think they are compatible. I do. Spent years in Bulgaria after the wall came down. Woo!
Tim's good people. He has my personal seal of approval and recommendation. He's good people.
Beer. Good scotch is an oxymoron. Good whiskey is called bourbon.
Fie! The Macallan. That's my new favorite. I used to like Glen Morangi. I still like Glen Morangi, but I like the Macallan
Shalom,
more.
Bruce. Shalom, Craig.
Hey, Bruce.
Putting together meetups in Northwest Georgia. Who's that? Shield Maiden has been putting together very good meetups. Yeah, she has. She's really been doing a good job out there, Evelyn. I agree.
Yeah, we have an announcement coming vis-a-vis her, but that'll be later.
There are lots of similarities, and we helped a lot of our tribal members see the light. Well, hallelujah, Lynch, because we had friends they were Salish.
Southern Spirit, are you my wolf friend? I think you are, but I'm not sure. You'll know what I'm talking about if you are.
They were Salish, and her son is really knowledgeable about Torah. And I was telling her, he's young, and he's a perfect age to go talk to other members of the tribe and talk to them about Torah. But I don't think that ever happened. So
I think that's his boat.
Lynch Schley, I think that's a really cool thing. Shalom says Shield Maiden? Is that right? Steve Wilson. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Tacoma. Wasn't that Hilltop is in Tacoma? That was like a bad section when we were there.
That whole area was gorgeous when we were there.
Mm-hmm.
The traffic wasn't bad. The weather, was what it is. The coffee was just getting kind of popular. You could get coffee in...
that was to you, Mark.
You could get coffee in the grocery
The
store.
Little League game, the grocery store, outside, inside,
store.
the hardware store. You get good coffee anywhere because it's the only way you can live when it's like it is today.
Right, everybody
every day
needs their spirits lifted. So there was coffee everywhere. And Chateau Saint Michel wine, which is now $15 a bottle, was the locally made $3 a bottle wine.
We used to buy it in the grocery store until it got reviewed in Gourmet magazine, and then we couldn't afford it anymore.
By the case, we would buy white and red and so on because we were young and just trying wine, and so everything there was great. We went up to Mount Rainier to have like little hikes, and Fort Lewis was also one of those places where I would sign out ranges and then take my kids and do homeschool, walking around these training areas and finding all sorts of really interesting stuff. So, and then, Californians move in and everyone discovers the area, and now it's super, super crowded.
Yeah, the problem with Washington and Oregon is I-5 and everybody that comes up the corridor.
I don't care for Tacoma, but then again, I don't like any city.
Neither do I.
Topeka, Kansas is becoming crazy. Yeah, Topeka, Kansas was probably the same way. It was kind of a small town for a long time, cattle town and everything. And now I think its school system is one of the most diverse in the nation for Topeka.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I-5 is horrible. I still get my... Wow.
What is TOTM?
Didn't care for the months of rain. Yeah, you have to be.
But those 4 days of summer, man, they're awesome when you can see Mount Rainier.
Oh yeah, Mount Rainier was really amazing, and there's a lot of hunting and fishing, and blackberries grew everywhere on the side of the road. Big blackberries, man, I really like that.
Well, we should pick a subject. We're not getting a whole lot of questions here. Oh, somebody asked, do you know any home remedies for goats?
What's the problem with your goat?
No, it's just do you know any? If the balloon goes up and you can't buy medicine or purple stuff, do you know anything? Worms, we're going to try that little tincture of walnut husk or whatever.
Yeah, walnuts are supposed to be good for worms. Vinegar is supposed to be good for goats. You put it in the water for worming. Shredded carrots, I've heard. Pumpkin seeds are supposed to be good for worming. Some people say diatomaceous.
But we haven't done any of it, so we don't know.
And then for things like first aid for the goats, I would probably just use honey.
I'm going to do Mick Mikey's question.
Uh-huh.
Mick Mikey, not much at all. Does the time change affect us here on the mountain? And here's why. I don't care what time it is. I wear a watch, But the only time I really look at my watch is on Saturdays, because that's when we have Shabbat services and I need to make sure I'm on time. I get up when the sun comes up, so right now I'm getting up around between 5 and 7. You know, we're not hardcore on anything. We're retired farts.
Sometimes I get up at 6, sometimes I get up at 9.
But I get up basically at daybreak, so I'll get up at daybreak, whatever the clock says. And then I go to sleep, well, it's getting darker earlier, so I'll be awake after dark longer. In the summertime, though, it starts getting dark, I start going to sleep. And so the time doesn't really affect us. We switch our services time once the clocks change, but that's it.
Plugs of tobacco wormed your draft horses.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
heard tobacco, raw tobacco is also a good wormer. Someone else is going.
See you, John.
Walnut water. Toro Troweler said walnut water. Yeah, we found out that walnut husks and walnut water is also good for killing weeds and things. And it's supposed to be, walnut tincture is supposed to be good for worms in people.
So I want to address Norm again. Norm, you got good stuff coming tonight. I think you and I could hang out. He said he ditched his watch years ago. When we lived in the world and would come to the land here that is now Shofar Mountain to camp for a weekend or a week, the first thing I would do when I arrived on the land was take my watch off, because it felt like a slave master to me. And then I'd have to put it on when I went back to the world. And so that's what I do.
I don't make my own vegetable and cooking oil right now, Evelyn, but I've been looking into it.
Really?
Yes, and one of the things that...
You get an oil press, right?
Yeah, I need to get an oil press. And then one of the things I've looked into pressing is grape seeds, because we grow wild grapes here. I'm hoping to... that'll be next. I'm hoping to up the production.
Crazy Canuck, you're on deck.
Yeah, you're on deck, Crazy Canuck. I'm hoping to trim more of the vines, because again, this past year was a Shemitah year for us, so we didn't do a whole lot of our gardening. But I want to dress more of the vines, because we have literally hundreds of grapevines on our property. And then with the extra grapes comes, processing them for grape juice or whatever. I would have a lot of grape seeds and then try pressing them for the oil.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot.
Right.
So, how do we handle
Ticks and chiggers?
Ticks and chiggers? And before I get into how we handle them, I would say that people who move here from the more civilized realms, here you can see here, they really freak out about ticks and chiggers. Oh my God! And then if they actually stick and stay, and some don't, they just get like we are about it. So, Sister Kate and I do different things. I should buy stock in Deep Woods Off, and in the mornings, I spray from the waist down, basically. Before I go out. On the days that I forget to do that, or I decide I'm not going to poison my body with these chemicals because today's an inside day, invariably I end up wading through waist-high grass and I just get tore up by chiggers mostly. People freak out about ticks. Sister Kate gets more ticks than I do because she goes out and deals with the goats. And on an average summer day, how many ticks do you think you get?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Embedded in her. And so we do tick checks at night and in the morning, and we're constantly checking. You don't get Lyme disease unless the tick has Lyme disease and it's in you for at least 24 hours, and we don't let them stay in us for 24 hours. And then what do you do about ticks and chiggers?
Okay, so I don't use any chemical because he gets tore up by those bugs and I get bites as well. And so, in my mind, if I'm going to get tore up, I don't want to spray myself with chemicals at the same time. So, one thing I do is check for chiggers. One of the main things it says to do on the internet, and I've done it before and it works very well, is if you think you've gotten them on you and on your clothing, the first thing you do is strip all your clothes off and put them in hot water, and then you take a very hot shower. Hopefully before...
But none of that we can do here.
Well, we can. You
We
just
can,
have to
but we don't.
pre-think. If you think, oh, I've done it. That's why I'm saying I've done it.
You haven't taken a hot shower.
I've taken a hot as I could stand water bath and just poured it on myself. When I thought I was in an area where they were. So some of the preventatives you can do is have birds like guineas and chickens, and they will eat a lot of those bugs in and around where you live. Plus, keep your grass short, and you can treat the ground areas where you think it is with sulfur. If you get powdered sulfur, you can do that, and that's supposed to keep them down. And that's one of the things that used to be in the oil that the Army would give their soldiers who were going to be in chigger areas. They would give them an oil with sulfur in it.
I had a thing in Ranger School called Chigaway. It was yellow. It smelled horribly of sulfur. It made you stink like sulfur, and it kept the chiggers away. It was really good. Eledwen Mare or Mare or something. Tick Tornado 2 is helpful for removing. We pull them off if they're big enough, and if they're small, we just grab them with tweezers and pull them out. It's not a big deal. It's really not.
Right. And I've heard also you can put the sulfur and diatomaceous soil on your shoes when you go out.
Yes, guineas are as good as advertised for tick control.
Yep.
But they have to feed in the areas that you're walking through, and we walk through a lot of area.
Right, and another way to deal with it is to avoid the areas where you know they are.
Like this time of year is when I start taking woods walks. Like
Right.
I just go for walks in the woods, and I don't really do that a whole lot in the summer. I have places I go, like LPOPs and things like that, to check on stuff. But this time of year, I just roam because I'm not worried about the
Will
bugs.
E asked a hilarious question.
Ever think about who will cut hair after the balloon goes up? Secondary skill, of course.
Have you
Power went out at the barbershop a while back, and it got me thinking.
Have you ever looked at photos of the Civil War era of men in those days and women? Hardly anybody did bother to cut their hair. Women often had really long hair and they just kept it up like I keep mine up. And the men had beards and they often had, sometimes ponytails and shoulder length hair. It's not that hard to just grab that guy, take a pair of scissors and cut it. The bigger question is who's going to be making scissors and who's going to know how to sharpen them. Because that's a tool. You got to have the two blades crossing each other at a certain specific point, and they've got to be sharp enough to cut it. That's a really important thing, is who will be a metal worker.
Sundancer, the closest I've been to that, I don't know where that is. I was in Perth, Fremantle area, and Swanbourne. And I was actually at Campbell Barracks with the boys. And then we went on a field training exercise. We went east from there into the outback. I have no clue where we were. We were blowing
I've
stuff
heard
up.
of that before. Sundancer, I'm not hating on Australia. I don't want you to think that.
I love Australia.
I think Australia's really
If I had
cool.
to live in another country, it might be Australia, except I hate your gun laws.
I think the Wild West, outdoorsy kind of feel of Australia, at least movies and things that we see, is similar to the American way, the frontier and all.
So I've been to Australia twice. I've hung out with Australians a good bit while I was there and when I'm not there, and I've been all over the world. And I would say that Australians are the most like the Americans I grew up with. America is not the America I grew up with. Even more so than Canadians. They're irreverent of authority. They almost have a chip on their shoulder with authority. They have a really funny sense of humor. They do not like formality. And they like dogs. They're dog people. In my experience. And man, I could hang out with Aussies all day long.
Belle, no, I've not had that problem. And Norman, I would add Scots to that thing. Outdoorsy, irreverent, funny, like to drink liquor.
Yeah.
Right?
Tuies.
Yeah.
And VB.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of people we could probably end up hanging out with. All right. Gotta run. Catch the rest later. Shalom, shalom. I know we started this thing right at dinner time, so. Yep, I agree, but they gave up their gun rights.
Oh yeah, never do that. Never give up your guns.
Wonderberg rum. That's funny. Okay. Anything else we can think of for winter? Winterizing.
We're just steady working on our house. Once we get that wood kitchen stove in, this place is this. I think it's gonna burn us out of here. Probably gonna have to open windows.
It already with the walls up instead of the insulation, keeping this room warm, 70, 72 is a lot easier. We use the same amount of wood. We use about 15 pieces of wood every night. But the temperature stays higher for longer. So insulation for everything in wintertime. Your shoes should be insulated. You should be wearing heavier socks. You should have on layers of clothing, as Ed Healy said. Just everywhere, everything. If you're in a trailer, that should be well insulated. If you're in a tent, you're in trouble because it's going to be really cold, so your sleeping bag should be very well insulated. And it's kind of a downtime, so it's a really good time to do indoor things, indoor projects, sewing, quilting, repairing things, writing. What other kind of things do you do in the winter inside?
I'm outside. That's the thing about the Ozarks. We don't have winter like most of y'all. It's a rare day here where it doesn't go above freezing at some point during the day.
50s at night, 50s during the day, 30 at night. It's supposed to be the normal.
It's not that cold. I love it here. I just put on extra clothes in the morning and the afternoon and I get out there. Somebody wanted to know about snakes. We don't worry about snakes at all. Don't put your hands under rocks where you can't see where your hand's going. But other than that, we don't worry about them.
Clean guns, inside work. Oh, does anybody have persimmons? Persimmons is something that's ripe right now, a fruit.
Somebody said cleaning guns is inside work. I've cleaned a lot of guns in the dark in the middle of the woods.
I just made persimmon biscotti over Sukkot with persimmons that a brother brought for me, and they have to go through a frost before that you can actually eat them. They're way too astringent beforehand, but persimmon jam is delicious. Persimmon bread, persimmon cookies. That's going to be some of the last stuff you're going to be able to get besides nuts.
I want to ask Norman a question.
Okay.
Norman, I don't have as good a feel as I should for Britain, England, Scotland, the UK, all that stuff. It just confuses the heck out of me. As far as Brexit goes, is Scotland part of if Britain comes out of the EU? Does that include Scotland coming out of the EU and being independent? And when are you going to be your own country? That's my questions. All right.
Someone said she loves persimmons and pawpaws. Pawpaws are good too. Most snake bites occur on reaching before looking.
Oh yeah, I pay attention to where my feet and hands go.
We've only ever seen 1 or 2 poisonous snakes here on the property.
They no longer reside here or anywhere else.
And most of the snakes we see are non-poisonous. I saw a little green grass snake not even that long ago. What other comments do we have? Oh, somebody said Big Visk said he got 1 persimmon and the deer got the rest.
Oh yeah, our deer eat all our persimmons.
Yeah, the persimmons we have here, I have right now, someone brought, but when we drive down the road, I see them ripe on the trees and I point them out to Pastor. That tree's full of persimmons. Why is somebody not picking them?
Well, have we run our course?
I don't know, I guess. What herbal remedies do you think are really good? What have you made yourself, Mark? I'm not that big into herbal remedies per se. There's a National Geographic earlier in the year put out a magazine on herbal plants and so on. And I think that's a really good reference. Now, I have lots of natural things here. I have plantains that grow outside and they're really good for skin deals. I have a plantain tincture that someone made. We have elderberry tincture for flu. Like I said, I'm drinking mint and sage tea. That's one of the things I read in the Nat Geo. It's
Tell them about that special tea you make when we're sick.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that too. The mint sage is, I think, is supposed to be good for aches and pains. And then there's a tea. It's I didn't make it up. I mean, it's out there where you put oh my goodness, let me think. Garlic and honey and cayenne pepper. I usually put crushed red pepper, lemon juice. What else? Ginger, all in a tea. And then if you want, you can put a little bit of whiskey or something in there, and it's supposed to be really good for a cold.
It is. That's what you give me, and it's like the spices are heavy. There's a lot of pepper and stuff in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of
it's
cinnamon.
Like woo, but it always makes me feel better.
Right, and then I use.
See you, crazy Canuck.
See you, crazy Canuck. I use eucalyptus oil. I don't actually like ingest it, but I put it under my nose because it's really good for shrinking swollen sinus cavity and stuff when you're all stuffed up. It'll help clear that. So will peppermint oil. I don't recommend drinking oils just because I'm not sure there's enough research done and it could be really bad for your kidney.
What happened here?
So if I use it, like if I'm going to use peppermint, it's like Vicks Vapor Rub. Good old Vicks Vapor Rub. You put it on your chest and it was supposed to help with congestion. Same thing with some of the essential oils. Lavender for your skin. Tea tree oil for bites and stuff. And like I said, plantain for that.
So Asymmetrical Preparedness, who lives in Washington State, asked what were we successful in growing there when we were there?
Oh, we had
an awesome garden there.
We had raised beds there, and I was using the square foot gardening method. There's a whole book on it.
Yep.
It talks about fertilizer that you make and so on, and how to plant things in the square foot. And we had a compost pile, so we had composted our own dirt. And we grew, one of my favorite things that I grew there was Brussels sprouts, because they wintered over.
Sundancer, yes.
No problem whatsoever. The Brussels sprouts got snowed on up there and just kept going. So
I loved the day we went out there. They had ice over the Brussels, and we just picked them off the plant, took them in, and ate them.
Yeah.
Oh!
It was wonderful.
Greens do good there.
Yeah, greens do good there. Swiss chard and all that. Lettuce does well there. Onions do well there. Beets. All your cold weather crops. Peas, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. And then in the summer, it's harder, but tomatoes and peppers and everything, the hot stuff. If I lived there now, I would definitely try to do either the hot box window thing or some sort of greenhouse to pre-start my plants. So when it finally warmed up in, June, you could get them out there. Somebody else had a question.
I know. I just screwed up my phone. When I touch it funny, it does
Okay.
funny things.
Let me see if I can, scroll through. Did you catch my location reply?
Yeah, I told her yes. I'm assuming it's
We're
her.
going to
I don't know,
have,
it could be a
yeah,
guy.
you put it up there. Going to have a garden about 5 times what we had. Absolutely. I plan on having a big garden. Never.
Never?
You should never ingest tea tree
Oh, yeah.
oils. They're not for
Here,
consuming.
it's all here. You don't have to play
Well,
with
you
that.
just had it a second ago. I couldn't get Brussels sprouts to grow this year at all. Had good luck with greens, potatoes, peas, and beans. Yeah, potatoes like it up there too.
You know, potatoes and beans and peas store well, though. I mean, we're thinking a lot about what do we need to grow to keep the calories
Buy
stored
Micro
until
Farmer.
next year.
Building a new greenhouse. Great tincture to make is Master Tonic. It lasts forever. Apple cider vinegar, onions, hot pepper, horseradish, garlic, and ginger.
See you, Connie O'Hay, 91.
Ooh.
Connie O'Hay Bay.
Connie O'Hay is gorgeous. I love the live chat. Gotta go bless you both. Bless you, brother. Or sister.
Yeah, it could be a female Marine, but probably not.
Someplace to see love. Okay.
Hey, how come it's getting dark?
Because
You can't
it's
see
evening.
Pastor Joe. Here, I'll just see like this. All right. I can see the light.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh. Dinner's ready. All right, enjoy it. PF, do you all still do aquaponics? No, we do not. That left here years ago.
Stories. That's fine. The reason we don't do aquaponics is because in a grid down situation, how are you going to run your pumps?
I think aquaponics is highly overrated. I really do. You know, people get like, I have these little microgreens and I have this and I have that. Man, I want to grow food. I want to grow wheelbarrows and pickup truck beds full of food. And I have more space than I can shake a stick at. I'm not confined to a little area. So, and I have good friends. He's not on here today. That has an awesome hydroponics system. To me, it's just not worth the effort and the trial. And being off grid, how are you going to keep your fish alive over winter? You know,
right,
all
and how are
that
you going to
stuff.
keep your pumps running? And how are you going to, you know, feed these guys if you can't go buy the fish food and all that? It just seems
Tina, I think I can
difficult.
do that.
What are you doing?
She said strobe. I think I can do strobe.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate that.
You know, I sell flashlights, right? But really, the flashlights I advertise are great flashlights. What's this one? Through night. It was a good light. Woo!
It is a good one. Wes says tell scary stories. You want to tell him a scary story?
No, I don't. Best told around a campfire.
Mm-hmm. Free Spirit
That's
Fest. We'll
actually
be
pretty
listening, but I have to get supper started. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, do the supper, man.
Yeah.
We're just sitting here hanging out.
It's supper time.
That works pretty good like that. I don't know
Yeah,
how long
that
the
looks
battery
pretty
will
good.
last, though. There's a strobe.
Canning stuff over winter.
We're boring people. We got to keep it going. See, this is the thing about being a talk show host. Man, you got to have your...
Yeah, I was going to talk about the London knife attacks, and I was starting to do some research before the show, and then they said, well, generally, you know, they're slacking off, but then the news said there were 4 attacks this past weekend. 4 people stabbed in London, and they've narrowed it down to 2 of the counties outside of, yeah.
This is illegal, I think, in London. This is just a work tool.
Right? I mean, how are you going to do things like open your packages when you've got the tape and the
Thanks, High Value Warrior.
plastic wrapping and everything? You need tools, and it's just crazy. And it's all centered right down in the middle of London, which tells you, you know, cities, very dangerous.
Hey,
places.
we've been calling London Lundistan forever. That's the problem with London. Westhold Forge, hello!
Oh, there he is! An old Hednar tribesman.
Hey, hi.
Shalom. Good to see you guys.
You guys would actually like each other.
Oh my gosh, yes. And you'd have a lot to talk about too. So Westhold, you made the comment on my duck house with the pallet siding that if I put boards over it would be like battens, and that's exactly what I had already done. I guess you couldn't see that on the video, but you and I think alike, brother. Yep. Just want to clarify, and I love chatting with you guys. Hello from Arizona. So, questions? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to know? Westhold, I want to know what your latest project is. Hello from Vancouver Island. Food forest.
That's cool.
Permaculture is one of those ideas I really like. It's kind of like the companion planting
We
thing.
got a lot of books on permaculture.
We do. And one of the things I tried doing down in our orchard, because it's slow work down there, is to get some of the herbs that the plants like. And
You can
so
hold this. I must refresh my beverage.
a thinner strip overleaping the bigger boards. Yeah, I already have them on there. That was one of the things that I had to do to finish it, so it would be weather tight, or however you want to phrase it. And then I just got those end boards up, and I have already cut some OSB to cover the screen panels, because that was for summertime. Now it's winter. I want to enclose it. I was wondering if Sister Kate has taken the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Of course she has. ESFP.
Yes, I am an EFSP.
Her
Which
middle name is fun.
which Hello from one of the Colorado's, Vikings. Hey, Amradco, welcome. Are you going to do greenhouse gardening to grow food all year round? Any good books you can recommend on it? Tuba. I don't have a book. The book I recommend for homesteading for everyone is called the Reader's Digest Back to Basics book. And it will have stuff on greenhouses in there, guaranteed. And yes, we do have the structure. I've shown it in my garden videos of the fence panels that are laid over.
And we have greenhouse plastic.
And we have greenhouse plastic.
It's on the list.
So as soon as that duck house is completely finished, and it's going to be very soon, I'm going to start on the greenhouse end pieces, but we need to do like framing on both ends of the greenhouse so that we can get a door in there, and it gives something for the plastic to be on, because the wind, we had plastic on there before and the wind just whipped right through it and it tore the plastic off. So we've got to get those end pieces, but that's really not going to be hard.
Light.
Yeah, it works fine in here. It's really not going to be a hard project to do. So that'll be next. And once we have that greenhouse enclosed,
Oh, I know what I want to
we
talk
certainly
about.
will start seeding, probably cold weather plants.
So you should look at them when you're talking.
Yeah.
We were talking to our sister Melissa today, and I got the idea, men with women and children, this is for you. You need to teach your people how to do the things you do. And an example is hooking up the propane to the Big Buddy heater. It's like, okay, we need to switch out the propane. I could take 15 minutes and explain to you, this is how we do it, do this, be careful of this, don't do this, da 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 da. And it would take 15 minutes, or I could just do it now myself, and it'll be done in 2 minutes. And a lot of times we men default to that. Or it's like, by the time I show you how to drill these 3 screws in, I can do it myself. It's just easier. And we're doing ourselves and our people a disservice. We need to exercise a little patience, slow things down a little bit, teach our people how to do things. Everybody should be decent at doing everything. Some people are going to be great at doing specific things, but we should all be able to function with the basic things. That's my little tidbit.
What's your opinion on root cellars, do's and don'ts?
Have one.
If
Put
you can have
12
one-
feet of dirt on top of it. Put bunks in it. Oh.
Yeah, if you can have a root cellar, I think they're wonderful. I think they're a great alternative way to keep food over the winter time.
But do's and don'ts, truth in advertising, we've never had a root cellar, so we don't know yet.
And there are specific things about root cellars. You do want to read up on them because there is supposed to be a certain amount of moisture in there. You don't want them too dry or your stuff will dry up. I have had little root things like beets and potatoes that I tried to keep over the winter and in a dry area, and it just shriveled them up. So I think they're fantastic. Hang on, I gotta let the dog out.
Okay. I have a big Berkey and I have extra filters, like one set, and we've never used it. I'm saving it against the day. It's one of those things. Our water comes out of the well fine. We've had it tested. That's what we drink. And so we don't need a big Berkey right now. But we have one, just in case.
And we have lots of friends who use them, who like them.
I have not considered biogas. I haven't, no. I haven't.
And someone signed in from Utah also, northern Utah.
Northern Utah's beautiful too.
Shalom, yeah. You've got those parks up there, right? Needles and all that, isn't that in Utah?
Yeah, but evidently, like Salt Lake City, you think it would be like a nice city with, you know, good, clean living Mormons and stuff. And evidently, Salt Lake City's just like a horrible place because the key word there, city. Right? I guess.
Big city.
I don't know. I was only there once, and I just stayed in a hotel overnight, so I can't speak about it. That's what I've heard.
What?
Nothing.
I thought you were about
No,
to
I was,
pontificate on
and then
something.
I thought about it, and I thought, no, I think I'll just hold that.
Oh, the Briggs Meyer, that deal right there. We are exact opposites.
You know, for those of you into Briggs Meyer personality types, there's something you can do online called e-colors. And it's kind of like it is a personality test. And then they give you a combination of two colors. And I'm like red, green, and she's blue, yellow. You know, we're the exact opposites. But that is a really interesting test to take. You can do it for free online. E-colors. It's probably ecolors.com. Exxon Mobil makes all their people take it. They actually, as part of their signature block, have to put what their two colors are, and it's fascinating. And then you can take when you're these colors, self-awareness. You know, here's what you value and don't value, and most of us who are into that know what we're into. But the interesting thing is looking at other people and what they like and don't like, and especially your significant other. We'd been married, I don't know, 30 years when I had Sister Kate take the e-colors test because I had to do it for Exxon. And I learned things about her. That was like, of course! So if you're into that, I suggest you look into e-colors.
Vicky, how are things doing in your area? Because I know you guys were waiting on certain things to happen. Are we seeing anything going there?
INTJ, like one of the lowest ranking, you know, there's least...
Right, there's
not
very
very
little
many INTJs.
INTJs, and there's like 15% of the populace is in EFSP. I find the personality so fascinating. I've been studying it on and off for years.
Good question.
It really helps dealing with them correctly. It's true.
Okay, so Stephen Wilson, how much does a well cost? How deep do they go there? Good question. I would say to answer it quickly, we have a few wells, and they cost about $3,000 a piece to have the well put, drilled, and cased. Pumps are extra. We go down here. Well, our first well, we hit good water at about 140 feet, and we went down to 165 feet just to build up a column of water. Another well that we had drilled, he hit water at 20 feet, and I thought he had a problem. And the way they charge here is they charge by how deep they go. And so if he hit really good water, good flow at about 25 feet, and he said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Go down 100. And the reason I did that was to take care of this guy, because he drove all the way from wherever in his truck, set it all up, started drilling. If I'd only had him drill in case 25 feet, he'd have lost money on that deal. So I told him go 100. And they're cool here. You know, they don't have like a minimum charge. And so that one hit water at 25. Another one we're at about 165.
Whoa.
So there's that.
Wes's well is 350 feet deep. That's because you live in a place where there's.
That's because you live somewhere you shouldn't.
Looking to pull up and be out here by February. Well, I hope so, Vicky. I do. I hope it all works out that way. Once out in the country, that's exactly what Aussies are like. Sundancer, how do you guys get water? Are you?
Yeah, and how deep do you have to go in the outback?
Right.
I would think you got to go 1,000 feet or something.
Right. I know a lot of people catch rainwater off their.
David,
roofs.
no, it's just regular water. It's perfect. I say it's water the way Yah intended it.
Well water at 10 feet is 25 feet deep. I dug a well 400 feet deep. See, the answer to the question really is yes, because it just depends on where you're drilling and what your water table is, and it can be a ton, it can be 1,000 feet deep, and it can be 20 feet deep. It just kind of depends where you are. And the guy that we have do well digging for us is an old crusty fellow who's been doing it years and years here. He's very experienced, and so ours could have been, someone else could have charged us more.
Renee knows what she is. I think I'm red-green. I can't remember. It's been a while since I was in that environment, but whatever it said I was just nailed me totally. I'm an INTJ.
Right. And then I was the opposite. If he was red-green, I was blue-orange.
Blue-yellow.
GPS register your wells with the government. Is that true to your
Okay,
knowledge?
so here's the deal on that. In generally speaking, yes. When they drill a well, they have to. It's a law. They put the GPS coordinates and they file it with the government. Um,
I'm sure each
I'm just
state.
trying to be careful here. I've been drinking. Let's just say there's ways around that.
Well, and each state's different.
No, I think
No?
it's a national
It's
thing.
now a national?
It's just like caves. If you ever find,
Ooh.
I've told people we don't have a cave here on Shofar Mountain, and I've had lots of people out here over the years, and I tell them all, if you find a cave, I'll let you name it, or I'll name it after you, and then I'm going to swear you to secrecy because they register all caves at the national level also, which is a bummer. But yeah, they register those wells, but there's ways around it.
We are 100% rainwater from roofs stored in 3,000-gallon tanks.
3,000 gallon tanks. Wow, those are big tanks. I have acquaintances who have really good rain catchment systems, and on my Patreon channel, Kevin Musak did a tutorial. Actually, he has a YouTube channel. It might be called Kevin Musak, Mussack. That's the perfect. It's a little bit dry, but he goes over the perfect water catchment system using the 275-gallon ICB totes. And that's what my friends here uses, those with the flush out systems, and they're on a
Yeah, they're
manifold.
really easy to get around here.
And
That's
we're going
why
to build
people
one
use them.
eventually. It's on the list.
That two lady homesteaders, Hodge, did you have help installing them? Because they're
3,000
really
gallon
heavy.
tank is basically over 10 times bigger than.
Right, they're huge. I'm sure you probably got them from your farm store, but man, they're enormous deals.
I know nothing about LiDAR, sorry.
Just had a new well dug. 4,000 for 100 feet. Pump was extra. Yeah, they don't do the pump here either. You've got to provide your own pump. Ooh, watch that show, Truth or Tradition. What an eye opener, Debbie Evitt, isn't it? Really, it's a really good video, and it's.
Oh, that helped get a lot of my inner circle over the hump.
It's a very convincing argument for Torah.
It doesn't matter what it means to you.
That's
What
right,
it means to him.
because that's what everybody says. We
We
were.
quoted 20,000 for a 400 to 500 foot, including plant. Asymmetrical preparedness. You need to come out of her, my people, my person, my peeps. You need to get out of there. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it is. It's just
That
what
whole
happens.
place is ridiculous. I have people I deeply care about in Oregon, Washington.
Yep.
Deeply.
Deeply.
And I try to push every button I can on them to get them out of there.
Come on.
There's a lot of reasons, not just the socioeconomic conditions there. You need to get out of there. That is not a good place. Jericho, where the bar never runs out of electricity or booze. David Neck says, D-Neck says, how hard is it to transition from a mechanical pump to a hand pump? It's the easiest thing in the world, brother. We had a hand pump forever on our main drinking well, and a good brother and friend decided he was going to hook us up with solar. We just ran the solar pump right down the same shaft, and it sits next to the hand pump. And so our hand pump works and our electric solar pump works. It was not a thing. See you, Mark.
No. I'll get myself a little bit more tea.
Sister Kate really likes doing the live chats. We probably will do it more frequently since this one went so well. Nanya Biz, shalom. I'm going back through the questions here to see what you guys are asking. She got her tanks. Two lady homesteaders Hodge got her tanks at Tractor Supply. Two guys helped me maneuver them into place.
Okay, that makes sense because there's no way one.
Yeah, those are big and heavy. We like the So here's a funny story. The 275-gallon ICB totes. It's a square plastic thing inside a metal cage. We can pick them up here for about $65. If they have a lot of them, $45 a piece. Once holding honey or soy lecithin, which is edible. I bought like 4 of them to put in my pickup truck, and I asked that there were 2 ladies working in this store, and I said, "Hey, is there somebody that can help me load this thing?" And this woman says, "I'll show you how to do it." And she comes walking out, and she loaded this ICB tote into my pickup truck all by herself. I said, "You think you can do it now?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And basically, you just rock it back, rotate it, and stick it up there and push it. They're not that heavy; they're just awkward. But I thought it was kind of funny that she did it all by herself. Yeah, Truth or Tradition is on YouTube. You can find it there. It's by
Jim Staley.
Jim Staley. How much was the 3,000-gallon tank? Westhold Ford says. I'm gonna guess $3,000. It's a guess, totally. It's about $1 a gallon, though. How about well maintenance? Do they have to be sterilized? We don't. If I start having like diarrhea and vomiting, we'll probably look into it.
Water's heating up.
Mark, no. Mark Gothberg said, hand pump can only draw water from 30 feet or so. No, that's not true. I have a 165-foot deep well with a hand pump on it. And to my understanding, there are 2 pumps that can do that. Simple pump, which is what we have, and bison pump. I was considering both. I looked into both. They both seem good. I called bison pump first. Their people were horrible. I didn't like talking to them. I called Simple Pump. They were lovely. We went with Simple Pump. We've since bought 2 Simple Pumps. And it goes down 165 feet. Any thoughts for upcoming's history lessons? No, she just comes up with them.
I was looking into.
Wow, wait. Jonathan Walter bought 3 2,500-gallon tanks for $3,500. Man, you got a deal, brother. We have never tested our rainwater, Evelyn. We just wash with it. We wash our bodies, our clothes, and our dishes with it. And we just get it right from the gutter. Sometimes it has mosquito larvae in it, but once they boil, they're fine.
Yeah, it's really fun. Oh my gosh, look at that, we're talking.
Let the fire go out.
Let
the fire go out while it's raining and cold outside. What's wrong with you, woman?
Are you out of your mind?
Are you out of your ever-loving mind?
What are you yelling about?
I'm just trying to keep the people amused.
Keep them amused.
Are you amused? What is that? Is that in
Yes, Gladiator.
Gladiator?
Are you entertained?
Are you entertained? Or are you not amused or whatever?
Right.
Sister Kate and I have watched a lot of movies. We've probably watched most of them.
Well, you should explain why.
I just like them. What are a few hearty winter foods you prepare, Sister Kate?
Stew.
Stew. Venison stew.
I do a lot of curry.
Curry. Love curry.
And pasta. Bread. I haven't had bread in a while, and it's one of those things, once that big stove gets going, I'll be cooking bread.
Michael Rivera, you have to test your spring, brother. I don't know the answer to your question.
Your county extension will test your water if you need them to. You can also get a pool test kit. Water test kit.
High Value Warrior, that's more important than what we're doing here. He's off to read to his little ones.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Just Dano, that was my daughter's entire idea. I mean, it was her stuff, her notes on what it was and everything. So thank you. I'm going back through questions here.
Fine. I know I've got you holding the thing, but I feel like you're having more fun doing that. I want to order you around.
What do y'all want to know? Come on, now's your chance. It's like you're sitting in our living room,
That's
dining
right.
room area. You
What's
got
that
PJ and
question?
SK, and
We
we're
know
here.
that.
It's like, I always kind of wanted to know. I'm not saying I'm going to answer it, but you never know. I might.
Right? Don't know until you ask.
What county are you guys in? We're not going to answer that.
The OPSEC, bro.
OPSEC, bro. Curry recipe.
Oh.
They want a video on that. No, they want a video on it.
A
I think that's
video.
great.
When I did.
D-Neck, send me an email with that question and I'll tell you. I'm not going to put that out on YouTube, but I'll tell you in an email.
You guys never watch my food videos. I get no views. Mrs. John's, man.
McMikey, you're welcome. The pressure.
That's right. Soundtrack to Gladiator is one of my favorites. It did have some really cool music on it. Oh, that's when you were okay.
Yeah, I told him I'll talk to him online about that. Who is that said Chase? Wow, it's going really fast now. Somebody just said they love Sister Kate's food videos. Do you know nobody watches them? Comparatively speaking, because I tell her she is an awesome cook, and she cooks on a two-burner gas stove and a sun oven outside, and she makes delicious food. And I have eaten food all over the world. She's awesome, and I'm not just stroking her. I don't do that. And so she'll make something. I'm like, man, you got to do a video on this. And it takes her out of her comfort element. She's got to focus on that instead of just cooking. She's got to worry about what she looks like, whatever. People don't watch them.
I get a lot fewer views on the food videos than anything. But of course, it's really hard to video yourself doing that and do it at the same time. It would be a lot easier if I had a videographer or something and they could do the camera angles for me and so on.
Somebody said, or rather, why do you think it's a bad location? But I didn't see the first part.
Probably
Biz.
Nunya Biz is in Louisiana, right? Somewhere down south.
Oh no, but it's a cool little avatar there.
Yeah.
The revolting woman, Hola, prepping peeps.
Hey,
on the
Sister
road
Mariah.
with the revolting man, going to our cha-cha lesson.
Aw.
Really? I tell you what, Sister Kate tried hard to get me into ballroom dancing and other things like that. I'm just a lug.
Couple building, man. Learn to depend on your partner and do all this cool stuff.
West Plains is a good place. Man, what is going on with my phone here?
You told me you would handle all that.
Why is Washington a bad place? Do you not read your newspapers?
It's overgrown.
Do you know about the
It's
Ring
too
of
crowded.
Fire?
Yes.
There's military bases all up and down the thing that are nuclear targets.
And you got a erupting volcano on your side of the country. Just went off in what, the 80s? Mount St. Helens? Come on. There's safer places in the country to live.
Where did you get your kitchen wood cook stove? I don't know. It's called the Pioneer Princess, and we ordered it online, and it was delivered by freight here, and it weighs over 700 pounds. That thing is huge. And
an Amazon drone delivered it.
An Amazon drone set it down right where we wanted it.
Well, actually, it was a bunch of them, but
But I have a good friend, Jerry, in southern Missouri, who has inspired me in so many ways.
Ozark's brother, Jerry.
And he has a Pioneer Princess. He's the first one I knew with one. And I used to take friends of mine who were considering getting wood cook stoves to Jerry's house to show them. And so that's how I say I've sold several of these stoves, because they saw his and they're like, yep, I'm going to buy it. And then finally we got one. And hopefully it'll be hooked up in the next week or so.
That would be fantastic.
Two Lady Homesteaders Hodge. My stove is a Pioneer Princess.
Yes, she has a cute one, and she's been using hers.
It's
for
the
a
same as
while.
ours. That's what we have.
Yeah.
Wildtac lights, or do you think OTEC are better? Okay, this is a great question. No good unloaded. Do y'all still use or trust Wildtac lights, or do you think O-Light are better? Here comes the truth. Which one is this one? Wow, this thing's getting hot. I gotta turn that down. Woo! That got hot. It was on high. Hold on, let me turn it on because I got to read it.
We disappeared.
Ooh. This one is. This is a through night.
Yeah.
So
see?
here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Wow, this thing got really hot.
Don't turn it back on, Pastor. They're just gonna have to deal with it.
I'm gonna try and turn it down. All right, I'm just gonna bring this up. I'm about to tell you the deal on the flashlights.
The deal.
Let me get another thing over here, though.
Yeah, you gotta resupply. You should try talking straight for an hour and 35 minutes. Your throat gets tired. You get dry.
Hey, do you have your little table thing? Could you set your table up?
The little where
We
would
could put this
it, though?
between us. I'll just scoot over. Set your table. All right, here's the deal on the flashlights. All of them. They're all good.
You're talking about the little lap table?
Just right here, sweetie. I got it.
Oh, that. Okay.
Through Night, Wildtac, and my latest ones are O-Light. It got hot. That's why I turned it off. They're all quality. If they weren't quality, I would not advertise them. I wouldn't say that people should buy them. I have gone lately with
Through night, right?
no
No.
O-Light
Oh, light.
because I make money when I advertise these lights. There's no doubt about that. I don't hide that. They send me the light for free, so that's like woohoo! You know, who doesn't love a flashlight when you're off grid? I just lit this whole place up with one for an hour or so, and so that's one. And then they would pay me to do the ads, but I won't. I've had people offer to pay me to do ads for things I don't like, and I won't do it because it's my integrity on the line. So they're all good lights. It's just that O-Light pays me so much better. Through Night and Wildtac have been calling me and saying, please do our lights again. Please do them. I can only do so many flashlight videos before I make people scream and pull their hair out. I have a video I'm shooting tomorrow on flashlights, and then I'll be shooting one for Black Friday, and I'll be shooting one probably for the pagan winter solstice holiday coming up, and they will all be O-Light because O-Light pays me better. But they're all good lights. They're quality. They're made out of aircraft grade aluminum. All of them, all three of them. So I love them, and I use all of them. And whatever I just said, this one was. I think it's a Through Night that I was using, and I advertised it before, and it's a great light. So that's what I think.
Here's something else. For the longest time, flashlights were nothing. Like, you bought these cheap little plastic flashlights, and they worked for a while, and then because they were made cheaply, they didn't work, and nobody put any thought or effort into flashlights. And the first ones that started actually giving it some thought and planning were the black, what are they called?
I'm sorry, I was reading Dano's question. What?
The flashlights that we first got that were people
Maglights?
Maglights. Maglite.
Careful of this. This isn't
Yeah,
super safe. Don't bang it.
And it's hot too. Maglite suddenly started looking at flashlights and saying, we can improve what's been around since the 50s. And so they started making better flashlights, heavier duty ones.
Yeah, Streamlight was like the go-to light, and then Maglite came on the scene.
Right.
And Maglights made great lights for a while.
3D cell, 4D cell, you can use it to
The
hit
mini Maglite
people.
revolutionized the military flashlight.
Right.
We threw that angle head thing away and started carrying mini Maglights.
And mini Maglights were powerful and smaller, and you could defend with them too. And so they were revolutionary, and we got them even then, and I don't think we were off grid. And then after we got off grid, it became apparent, at least to us, like having good flashlights was important, but it's really a pain in the rear end to only have one hand to do anything while you're holding the light with the other. And so we started looking into the headlamps, which probably originated with spelunkers, cave examiners. Can you let him know? Thanks. Probably started that. Miners working in the caves with the light that was on their helmet and so on. But then Energizer started putting out a relatively inexpensive headlamp. And for people who live off grid like us and we don't have lights everywhere, the headlamp is really convenient because you can do things like, wash dishes and you have both your hands available. And then this whole flashlight deal with Pastor was them coming to him, realizing we're flashlight, we used to give them as gifts when we did Christmas and things like that. I mean, we really were serious about it, and they came to him to advertise them, and some of them, like the ones that have the rechargeable battery for the headlamp, are really convenient and do very well for us.
We love these. Sister Kate and I, this is the WowTac light.
Yep.
I'm advertising Olight now, but this is the WowTac light, and it's rechargeable, and I know you can't see it right now. Here, I can do it this way.
I'm sure you've done a video on that too. Oh, there's the strobe.
Ooh, there's the strobe. Somebody asked about the weapons light that I have on my handgun, and I have an Olight, and it's awesome. I can't show it to you now because I'm not doing an advertisement, but it switches back and forth and comes on and off very easily. I love it. So there's that.
So that's sort of a little bit of the history of lights and flashlights and so on there. You're playing the video.
I don't want to. What happened?
I have no idea.
I can't read comments this way.
Nope.
All right, you guys. Sister Kate will keep talking. I'll get us back on track.
That is a brief history of flashlights and lights in general for us. Of course, if you have lighting in your home, it's not going to be as big a deal. We are so behind on comments here. Holy schmoly. I used a headlamp last night getting 10 more fruit trees into the ground. Love the headlamps. Exactly. I bought a small flashlight and headlamp from Gander Mountain before they went out of business a few years ago. I hardly got... Awesome! We did end up getting a history lesson today. Exactly, Chasing Life. And the history lessons do come up... as Pastor Joe said, just incidentally. Like I'll read an article or I do things like on Instagram I follow the Army and the Marine Corps and the Special Forces guys and the Coast Guard. And sometimes I'll get ideas. They have actual posts about history too that I find interesting. Do you have a way to make candles, Wes S.? Not specifically. I
made some deer tallow candles.
Right. We've made some candles in the past. He made deer tallow and I made beef tallow. And we used string and dipped it, and warmed up the tallow in a cauldron and so on. And they work okay. I'm sure beeswax candles work better. And I would also want to look into oil. If I can, if you have a lot of oil stored or you have a way to make your own oil. Like corn oil. You can do your own corn oil. You can look that up. The old-timey, in Israel and Jerusalem and all of that in BC time frame, had the little cups that would have olive oil in it and a little wick, and they would use that for lighting.
Watch that lantern.
I'm watching it. You
don't want flaming oil all over the place?
Nope. Don't want that.
Okay, I had to switch phones. My other one died.
And I've got somebody begging for attention over here. Ridiculous.
What kind of prepping style shoes would you recommend for a wife that wears only sandals and flats? Running shoes. Trail running shoes. Do you know trail running shoes cost less than road running shoes? I think it's just because there's less demand. People are hiking the Appalachian Trail now on trail runners.
And Keens are good outdoor sandals. Now, my daughter thinks they're heinous looking. As a fashion
they are, but they're really good.
They're really good. They're very durable and comfortable to wear.
SK, any suggestions on a few good books I could read over the winter?
A few
We
good
read
books.
so many
We
books.
read so many books. I like all the Jane Austen novels. What kind of book are you looking to read? I really like classics. If you,
Lots of Love Keens coming out right now.
Frankenstein and Count Dracula, Dracula are really good novels to read. And then what's that? The Chasing Home, American Chasing.
Oh, I didn't like. You haven't read that series?
Yes, I did. I read them too. They were okay. There were things terribly
They were-
wrong. But
You know, I'm sure the guy's a great guy who writes under the pen name American.
he
I
had a lot.
actually started writing notes in them so that if my kids ever inherited those books, they wouldn't think they were good. There was just so much wrong with those books. But I'm not going into that now because I can't back it up without the book here to tell you. But I'll tell you, there's a bunch of nonsense in those books. Oh, Keen sandals are the bomb, man. It's like Roman sandals, and I guess they make good hiking shoes too, but I don't know.
Yeah, my first pair of outdoor sandals were Keens here. They were the dudes version because the women didn't. I don't even know if they had a women's version.
Hey, we're talking books. I'm gonna talk about Steve's books.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you should plug his books instead because you said they're really good.
They're really good. I found this guy, Steve Smith. He has a channel called Integrated or Integrative Preparedness on YouTube. Probably says it inside his book. Hold on. His books are good. They're very good. I think it's Integrative
The Forgotten
Preparedness.
500 was a really good book.
But this one's called The Revival. It's called the Stonemont series, and I'm reading them, and it's amazing the parallels between this book, these books, these 3 books that he's written already, and I'm writing a series on Patreon that I've just working title Fade to Black. Very similar, except that Steve is a better writer than I am. I'm loving the books, and they're like good. So those are good books to read. The Stonemont series by Steve Smith. I got mine on Amazon.
I've only got 5% battery power.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to stay much longer. We live off grid. We can't plug in. Things running out of batteries. I have a book by Joe Fox that is really good. Yep.
There we
I wear Merrill hikers.
go. Our son had Merrills and they fell apart on it. It was too hard, or if he picked a bad model or something. Reading Mattis's book right now, Chaos. It's pretty something. Didn't you read about Mattis?
Tracking, counter tracking. Is it true men's feet turn out and women's feet are straight or in? So I'm going to be a bit of a smart aleck here, and then I'm going to answer your question. Go to Walmart. Look how people walk. Look at their feet. It's a simple thing. Just go where people are and look at the people. Generally speaking, men's feet point out and women's feet point straight in or pigeon-toed. Generally. Not constant. If you haven't read 100 books in the last 10 years, you're a functioning illiterate.
Sandals good for crossing.
Oh yeah,
streams.
I've swum in the water with my Keens on. The leather ones with the heavy rubber, they're ugly. They're hideous.
They are designed to get wet. Yeah, they're all like all weather, all terrain shoes. The ones I had.
How much battery do you have? Because they said stream gone. Can you all see us? Keeping it real. Sometimes that we used to wear. What were they? Teva sandals with wool socks.
Or Birkenstocks.
When we were walking around. I can see you.
Yeah, they
Still
can
see
see
you.
us.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're losing power. Just pixelated. I can see you, but you're lagging and grainy. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yep.
We live off grid. I live back in the woods, you see. The woman and the kids and the dogs and me.
5 by 5, said Mikey.
Yeah.
Fading fast, Vicky Fulkerson said. Thank you both for everything y'all put out on YouTube and Patreon. Tons of great stuff. More than worth it to tune in. Thank you very much. Fading and buffering. All right. Well, we'll say goodnight, you guys. Frozen. Thank you for coming to the live stream. We appreciate y'all.
We do. I really do. I say this occasionally. I would really like it if we were actually sitting around in a living room, just chit-chatting, drinking whatever you want to drink.
Well, we can always have an event. All right, bless you guys. Shalom. Shalom. Hey, oh, I gotta push the button. Yeah. Okay.